bang, and the Doctor is dead. Or at least that's what it appears to be, because I think it's sort of a bit of a myth, really, isn't it, that the Doctor dies from getting shot. Actually, he's mostly fine. He gets shot through the shoulder. It's the anaesthetic that gets him
Yeah, he
afterwards.
gets two in the legs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and then Grace finishes him off.
Steady on.
But,
Welcome
no,
to the
that's after regeneration.
Welcome to Regeneration Marathon.
That's
Day
the
number 13.
Yeah, the advent calendar continues. We're more than halfway now, and we have reached sort of like the midpoint of the show's history in a way. This is the bridge between classic and new Who, isn't it?
Mm.
And yeah, the show's been gone for 6 years by this point, really, or 7 even, because the last episode went out 7th of December 1989. It was
Yeah.
at the final part of Survival, and then it was just radio silence, really. The actors, Sylvester and Sophie, eventually heard that they wouldn't be coming back to the show, that it wasn't getting picked up for a 27th season, and then it just sort of fell under the radar, really. You had a big hoo-ha in 86 or 85 even, when they cancelled it during Collins' run, which forced them to bring it back. I think the BBC's caught on to that and realised that if they wanted to kill Doctor Who, they had to first push it far into the background so no one cared anymore by positioning it opposite Coronation Street, and then leaving it for a little while before finally cancelling it rather quietly, rather than making a big song and dance about it. And yeah, it worked, sadly.
Yeah, there was no song this time. There's no Doctor in Distress.
No. So instead, the show was sort of left on the back burner a bit. People tried to bring it back. You had that whole Doctor Who in the Dark Dimension going on, with this big 30th celebration that I think never really had stood much of a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It was like meant to be direct to video, wasn't it?
Yeah, director.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine how well that would have turned out. But instead, a couple of years later, well, probably not long after that time, really, because there was quite a long production process on this one. Like, casting for the Doctor started back in March 1994, funnily enough. But yeah, Philip Segal had been trying to get a reboot for Doctor Who going for quite a while at this point. And finally, it was Fox who agreed, the only American network that really showed any interest, but they only wanted a single television movie. They weren't quite ready to go full on just yet. So it was basically a pilot, really, wasn't it, to see how much interest there would be in the show. And so it was co-financed by them and BBC Television, along with Universal Television and BBC Worldwide. And so it's probably the highest budget Doctor Who's had up to this point, really.
Mm. And you can definitely tell in like the set of the TARDIS for sure.
Yeah, there you go, full on there. But yeah, some interesting potential castings, including Anthony Heads, Tim McInnery, Christopher Eccleston, surprisingly enough. But, well, he wasn't quite given an audition. He was invited to do one, but turned it down because he wasn't really too sure about having a big brand name at the time. Another upcoming Doctor Who actor was Peter Capaldi. And he also turned it down because just typical British low self-esteem. Didn't think he'd get the role. But lo and behold, both of them ended up doing so in the next decade or two. So it all works out in the end, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, if anything, it works out better for them because they get more screen time.
Yeah, sadly, McGann had to have that pill to swallow.
Yeah, but I mean,
They signed like a 5-year contract.
Really?
Yeah, like that's how American pilots work. But they have
they do, don't they?
They have to sign a contract for so long, and they have to be willing to commit to, like, there was a whole hoo-ha, like McGann would have to move his family over there. They were looking at schools if this did become this big thing.
Wow,
Because
that's interesting.
McGann had a young family, so they'd have to,
Yeah.
move to America. Like it, this is just such a big thing to think about, really, for like your whole life and your family, really, for this commitment for this show, and obviously didn't come to be. With there's a whole Leakley Bible what explores what could have been, like
Mm.
Tomb of the Sibs, Spider Daleks.
Yeah, it
Um,
seems like a weird reboot of sorts, doesn't it? Which
hmm,
I feel like at one point the TV movie was going to sort of be going down that line, but then it ended up more morphing into what it eventually, well, is now, where it's sort of like this hybrid of a reboot and remake, really,
yes,
or
for sure.
yeah, soft reboot, really. But even then, I mean, when you look at the audition tapes, you can see some hints at what could have been to be there, as McGann talks about his father and such, or well, the Doctor's father, things like that, and
Was it
obviously that, and
Barusa? Was it Barusa?
yeah, something like that. It would have been.
And it would have
It's
been like
very
the
weird.
search for like the mother or something like that. I don't know. I know it was like be the
Yes,
search
very
of
weird to
something.
think about. I mean, I imagine it would have been the typical 50-minute episode still. Or like, I think 42 is the standard for American television, isn't it? Because they like to squeeze their adverts in there for
Hmm.
an hour-long slot. Yeah, so I mean, probably for the best for like us as fans and for Paul McGann himself, really. Even though it meant he got to play the Doctor much less on screen, I think it probably was might he might prefer how his life's turned out now to how it could have been being
Yeah.
shifted over to America. But yeah, that's mad to think about. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I think now it's like 7 years is the standard though for a contract for TV.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a long time to commit to one thing.
Mm. Yeah. In the end, the TV movie it did well, very well in Britain actually, didn't it? So it showed there
Yeah.
was still interest there, but over in America, much less so.
Hmm. And you can see
Yeah.
where it fails in the
Yeah.
nicest possible way.
Yeah, I think certainly Rose was a much better way to reboot the show by not trying to pile on so much lore and stuff in there. Instead, it is very much a sort of like back to basics, really, isn't it? Back to where it started.
Yeah.
Whereas TV movie is something else entirely.
TV movies are sort of a box set story,
Hmm.
I'd say.
It's very much about the wider lore and stuff, isn't it? With Gallifrey. I mean, even in an opening narration about Skaro and his old enemy and stuff, it's
Hmm.
just it's weird. I think
Yeah.
is the word for it, really. But yeah, filmed on 35mm film over in Vancouver, which is often the place where a lot of American television is made on the cheap, really, because you know that's just how it works, really.
Mhm. And then it's the working title. I think this is either called like The Enemy Within, but who calls it that anyway?
No, everyone
It's
just refers
TV
to it as a
movie.
TV movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Mhm. Uh, yeah, it's just a weird one, really. The
It
whole thing.
yeah, and obviously the TV movie's got such a big reputation behind it. For many years, McGann was not a proper doctor. It wasn't until Human Nature when he was
Yeah,
officially canonized as look, he is part of the Doctor lineup. Shut up.
yeah, that was sort of like the way to finally um not put the nail in the coffin as such, but well, yeah, put the nail in the coffin of the rumors that
Mm,
that movie was now non-canon. Because ultimately, it's something that the Doctor Who fandom seems to need to go through every once in a while now. It's like a cycle, isn't it, of something is changed about the Doctor's origins or whatever, or introduced, like half human, timeless child, that sort of thing. And then it ends up just not mattering because the show just ends up ignoring it.
no.
Like, yeah, the new series has never even joked about the half human thing, has it?
I feel like there must be something in like family blood and stuff.
Maybe. Yeah, it's certainly. even Big Finish tries not to touch that when they do Paul McGann ones. I know in Ravenous 4, Day of the Master, there's like a sneaky little line when you've got the Eric Roberts Master back there. But yeah, for the most part, it's just untouched, really. We just forget about it, move on, just shrug it off.
I think it's because they don't want to upset their core market, which is people who probably still aren't keen on the TV movie.
Yeah, it might be the case. But yeah, I mean, speaking of just shrugging it off and letting it go, I think that's the way to sit down and watch a TV movie, isn't it? Just shrug it off,
Yeah.
don't take it too seriously. And you can actually have quite a bit of fun with it. Shall we take a crack at the synopsis for this one?
Yeah, let's do that for one night only. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Who's starting? Shall you start or shall I?
I'll let you start if you want.
Okay.
I'll give you the honor.
It was on Skaro when my ancient enemy, the Master.
So you can just
finally...
recite that monologue and you're fighting.
I think I already messed up a few words there. But yeah, so we open up with a visual of the planet Skaro with a little caption at the bottom telling us it's Skaro. Well, the Eighth Doctor, through narration, says it was on the planet Skaro. So yeah, we're already at Chibnall level of exposition there.
Gordon Tipper, wasn't it?
Oh, was he going to do the opening?
He was going to do it. There's a version of him doing it.
Ah, that's interesting. Oh. I suppose maybe no one would have known it was the Master or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Imagine Eric Roberts doing it.
What are you doing here, Bruce?
Yeah. But certainly, it makes for a much more visual start than you usually get with a Doctor Who story. That gives it a very different flavour before we burst into the title sequence. I'll let you do the honours of the. I'm glad Big Finish didn't pick it up for not that they could anyway, because just licensing wise, but it's something that can only really work for a movie. That sequence,
I love that theme
those
tune,
music. Though. It's brilliant. It is.
I love the visual. So good.
It gets you pumped as the titles come on, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And then we end up in the TARDIS after that. Well, first the Master's been executed by the Daleks with their weird high-pitched voices.
Yeah.
Which is it's another weird approach to the lore. It's very much just let's pick a planet to execute the Master on. All Daleks are popular with Doctor Who fans. Let's throw them in. Let's piss them off by making them very different.
Helium Daleks.
Not just that, just the idea of the Doctor being allowed to go to Skaro and pick up the Master's remains and then leave, and the Daleks just being like, yeah, that's fine. Or even that the Daleks are that angry at the Master compared to the Doctor. Like, they'd be far more interested in executing him. But anyway, we're taking the lore-filled fan brain off for this one. We're just focusing on having a good time here. Because, that theme, when it kicks in, you're having a good time. So the Seventh Doctor, nearing the end of his life, is en route to Gallifrey. But the Master escapes his little prison thing, even though it's more just meant to be his remains. Because he's now a weird worm puddle. Well, there's much worse descriptions that
jizz
have been jizz for the occasion. He
security guards
crawls into the console, messes up a bit, and the Doctor lands in San Francisco, where he is immediately shot by some thugs who are trying to shoot. Is it Chang Li?
Yeah, Chang Li and his mates who get gunned down.
Yeah, they get gunned. That's pretty brutal, really.
Yeah. No messing here.
Yeah. And so the TARDIS materializes in front of Chang Li, saving him. The Doctor's shot, and Chang Li calls him an ambulance. And so he goes to the hospital with him. They're able to get the bullets out, but there's some irregularities with his heart. Well, there's a double exposure going on there. He's got two hearts. But they don't quite realise what they're dealing with here. So they call in Grace Holloway, to help with the surgery on his heart. Well, not even a surgery, really, is it? It's just
She's a
sticking a
cardiologist, isn't she? Yeah.
yeah, they're just sticking a camera in to see what's going on there. But because he's not human, she's not sure where she is. And I think it's the anesthetic that ends up killing the doctor off in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, because he keeps waking up and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's telling her not to do it, but she goes for it anyway. And yeah, everyone's a bit baffled by this. So he's gonna have a autopsy the next day, isn't he? So they lock him up in the morgue, and that's it for the Seventh Doctor. But meanwhile, the slime creature is crawling around the Master, ends up inside the ambulance driver Bruce's coat, and then deep throats its way into Eric Roberts.
With
Much to
actual Eric Roberts' wife, yeah.
yeah, much to her delight at first.
No snoring.
She's very happy to call him Master until he chokes a bit too hard.
It's a different kind
It's
of
certainly-
choking.
But it's certainly a bit more adult Doctor Who anyway. Like, jokes aside, it does
Yeah.
like just I feel like just the way the medical side of things is displayed.
I think it's horrific.
It's not, yeah,
It's uncomfortable to watch. It is really rough.
especially even more so than that, the American healthcare system. If you don't sign this, we can't do anything.
Yeah,
You're dead.
yeah. I think like the operatic music as well just makes it even more like, oh, this is
Yeah,
not
just-
nice.
Yeah, just the way it's sort of their day-to-day lives, really. The morgue staff as well, how callous they are. It's
Gonna have a spa
Yes.
treatment? No, that's horrible.
it's certainly uncomfortable viewing in some ways. But yeah, so Shang Li gets told that the Doctor has passed away, sadly, by Grace, and he's like, "Oh, that's sad, isn't it? Anyway, I'm gonna go take these belongings now. Goodbye." And so he does a runner. Grace is very happy about that, but the hospital is pretty keen to hush it up, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they burn the X-ray, all that. So they
Yeah.
want to keep Grace on side.
That's it, really. But meanwhile, in the morgue, some spooky things happen because while the morgue guy in there is watching Frankenstein, a reawakening of another kind is happening inside. As it's quite a nice regeneration, isn't it? The way that's contrasted with Frankenstein, with the electricity sapping the Doctor, the face twitching, and suddenly he is now Paul McGann. Take it away, Ben.
Who? I.
You Jesus, apparently.
Yeah, he's Jesus.
It's
There's
a
a lot
way-
of similarity. The second coming has arrived. McGann has appeared. It's all very exciting. It's crazy when you think that he's punching that door down, which, you know, regeneration, strength, and all that. But then you just see him like huddled in this shroud. You're like, how has he done that? Yeah. So we get him wandering around the abandoned hospital. There's jokes about like the New Year's party about what you're gonna dress up as. And we get him rifling round the wardrobe.
Dressing up as Lord Byron.
Yeah. And it's interesting that we get McGann like holding a gun. You're like, oh, Time War. Which is like ultimately where his Doctor goes. So we have him sort of just chilling in sort of, I guess, the waiting lounge to be seen. When
There's some interesting point of view shots there, isn't there? Where it's sort of like all a bit muffled out. It's like he's inside a fish tank or something.
I really like that, how it uses like the
Yeah.
POV. It uses POV quite a bit throughout. It's like, especially at the end of like Grace when she's possessed, and they're putting on that head thing. But yeah, he notices Grace and gets in a lift and starts chatting and scaring her.
Yeah.
And he just gets in the car and he's like, "Oh, what is this?" and finds a probe. And Grace is like,
That's
"Well, you're coming with me."
Yeah, that's what clinches it for her, that this is the same man that she operated on last night, isn't it? Meanwhile, her boyfriend's leaving her.
But yeah, no sofa. She's checking to make sure that this is the same dude, double heart, does some blood tests. McGann gets his shoes, happy days. They go for a walk. and we get one of the most infamous moments with the Eighth Doctor about the meteorites, which is lovely. Meanwhile, we have Changley and the Master and the TARDIS sort of making a deal that the Doctor stole all this from him, and he wants the Doctor's lives because the Master's run out of. Because there's a big thing about 13 regenerations, isn't there? Well, 12 regenerations within this. This story really hammers home like the deadly assassin lore.
Yeah, it almost starts to go down the deadly assassin route at one point, doesn't it? Because before this, you've got the scene where the Master, as posing as Bruce, goes to the hospital to find out what happened to the Doctor, and he's sort of talking to the woman behind the counter. Meanwhile, he's just picking off his fingernail, which is sort of like meant to show that the body's decaying fast, but I think because Eric Roberts wasn't very keen on the idea of going into makeup and such, they sort of ended up ditching that, really. So that's just a remnant and a little tease of what could have been. I think it works out better without it, but it is a very creepy scene, and it is quite gruesome, really, the way it's done. But yeah, that's when he finds out about the Asian child. Puts it. Moving swiftly on from that minefield, he then hunts down. Doesn't even really hunt him down. It's just Chang.
He's already
because
he's
got the Doctor's. Yeah, because he's got the Doctor's possessions. He finds the TARDIS key and decides, I'm gonna see what else is in here, and that's when they run into each other. He's already, and the Master's already got in there before that. Somehow.
Yeah.
I suppose, does he gooed the lock again?
Maybe just slivers in.
Yeah, because that's how he got out the first time. Yeah, and there's that wonderful shot where they're talking, where they're in between the pillar.
The roundel, yeah.
Yeah, that is very well done. Good. I think direction on a whole, it's just, because it is a film, it does go to another level compared to Doctor Who up till this point, doesn't it? That's it. I think because it's bringing more of an American sensibility to it, it's just trying different things that haven't really been tried by a British Doctor Who before. Yeah. Anyway.
So we get the Master and Changley going into the sort of Eye Harmony room, the cloister room, which is very grand. And then we get Changley opening it, and then this is where we realise that the Doctor's half human. And the Doctor and Grace have a nice little snog. First time in Doctor Who history a Doctor kisses a companion.
Do that again.
Sure, my shoes are great. Why not?
And then he does it for the rest of up until the 13th Doctor at least.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is when the Doctor becomes aware of the Master's plan and begins a hunt for the beryllium atomic clock, because this is set, New Year's Eve 1999 really plays into sort of the sense of Millennium Bug before Millennium Bug was probably a thing.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe it was going round a bit. Maybe this is what started the idea.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. It's odd, isn't it, how they very much built up around something that's not yet happened. Like it's 4 years in the future still. Yeah, I suppose it's that thing of similar to the Pertwee era. It's like the near future. So everything can look mostly the same, but you can still do a little bit more with it. Have a little bit more freedom. And even the Russell era actually ends up being 1 year ahead after Aliens in London. So, yeah, not a unusual thing for Doctor Who to do.
So, back to the plot. We go back to Grace's apartment, and
She's trying to get a room in a psychiatric ward for him, isn't she?
Yeah, but don't worry. Bruce and Changley are here to save the day. But the Doctor realises that's not an ambulance driver, that's the Master. So off they get a motorbike.
Sort of spews acid over Grace.
Yeah, get that burn on a wrist. And then there becomes a nice little motorbike ambulance chase, which is great fun.
Dun 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 dun.
So the music's great.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you get that a few times throughout, don't you?
It's lovely music.
Yeah, really upbeat. Really gets you in the mood.
It's great action music. And then we arrive at the facility, to get the beryllium. That's what I'm
Beryllium, yeah.
Beryllium chip.
Yeah, but the Master and Chang Li have beaten them to it.
Yeah, as the
Well, not beating
master.
them to the chip, but they've beaten them to the event, haven't they?
Yeah,
Cameron's already there. The Doctor's shortcut didn't quite pay off. Or was it Grace's shortcut? Probably, I don't
who knows?
know. Yeah. Oh, there's also while he's stealing the motorbike, I love how it does play up the Britishness of the Doctor.
Yeah, with the jelly
With him-
baby.
Yeah. Or like even before that, when he nicks the gun, and it's a very doctorly response to, "Would you please stand aside before I shoot myself?" Like he's not the
Yeah.
one pointing the gun at the officer; he's pointing it at himself, which I think is brilliantly played. But yeah, like the jelly baby where he's like,
Go on, eat it.
whatever. Like yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I mean, even before that, actually, the Seventh Doctor gets to enjoy some jelly babies. Yeah, and sort of a very calm, relaxed setting, isn't it? And he's just like reaching to the little bowl on the little tea table, just very bougie. I mean, I suppose it only gets more bougie when it's Peter Capaldi offering it in the cigarette box, or cigar box.
That is high class.
Yeah,
but yeah, tangent
height
time.
of society. But yeah, back to the beryllium clock.
He takes that and goes back to the TARDIS, and because there's a fear that if the Eye of Harmony's been open too long, that disaster's going to strike, so they have to rewire
the world's all going to
the
be
TARDIS.
swallowed into it, isn't it?
Very Pyramids of Mars in a way, with like Sutek in a way. But no, Grace is possessed, and the Doctor's wired up to the Master's contraption.
That's from where he spewed her earlier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he finally uses that bit that presumably got inside her to take control, and she looked very creepy with the big pupils.
Very good.
Yeah. Then the Master uses that to enact his plan of stealing the Doctor's regenerations.
And then Grace is breaking free from the possession and then starts to rewire the TARDIS like they said. And then there's a bit of a standoff between the Master and the Doctor.
I think, did he kill, he killed Chang Li before this point, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Doctor finally convinced him what the Master was doing was wrong, that he was evil. So he just, like, very calmly places his hands on his neck, like, my boy, and then snap. It's quite
quick.
brutal.
It's a quick.
It's nice how you have that potential dynamic of the son the Master never had, but he was just using him all along. And I think it's a nice mirror there of how, even though he's sort of referred to as the Eighth Doctor's almost companion, but the story he's much more of the Master's companion, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't really fit
Grace.
McGann.
Yeah. I suppose he saw like what maybe they wanted Adric to be at first when they were sort of going for a more artful Dodger character.
Yeah, can see that.
Yeah, you get like hints of it in State of Decay, don't you, when he's trying to nick the bread? But I feel like they quickly dropped that and went for the more boy genius angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Grace back up to the TARDIS console room.
Rewires the TARDIS, and Master goes in Eye of Harmony.
Yeah, you have a bit of a struggle. You have that brilliant line of, you want Dominion over your living, yet all you do is kill.
And then time's gone back to normal. Everybody's back to life. Grace says, hey, stay with me. McGann's like, nah, not about that life. And they depart.
Yeah, they say their farewells and he's off into the universe, really. It's Daphne Ashbrook, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did she sign a 5-year contract as well?
I think she probably did, yeah, because I think they were going to bring her back as well.
Yeah. I suppose maybe like hedging their bets again based on the reception there as well. Like seeing, do they want this character back or do they want a new one? But yeah, that is it. That's the TV movie. So, what do you think of the TV movie?
I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've actually watched it. And this is one I was kind of interested to watch again for this little marathon. And I have to say, I had a lot of fun watching it. Actually, I don't understand the hate for it. I can see where there are cracks and issues with it,
Hmm.
but I just had a good time watching McGann. And I think that's the main takeaway I have from it, really.
Yeah, because still, after all its time, it's the only place you really can watch McGann fully. Like Night of the Doctor, that's only what, 6 minutes and it's over.
Hmm.
Uh, we've got him in Power of the Doctor now, but that's fleeting as well. This is like if you're in the mood to watch McGann, this is the only place you can really go for his Doctor. But I mean, he's been given so much more life by Big Finish now. Like that is where
He
I see
lives.
him really. Yeah, that's where he lives really. Yeah, and certainly he's grown so much there. I think the tone of it as well, because they go for a much more British take on him naturally,
Mm.
uh, and all that rather the world around him, I guess, or just it's that British sensibility of how the show is, and so you never really get anything that feels like the TV movie. Whereas with other Doctors, particularly the third Doctor, they really are trying to recreate that era. This isn't trying to go, oh, what could we have had if they had picked up a series over there? This is, what McGann should have, really.
Yeah, the more traditional Doctor Who.
Yeah, just letting him be the Doctor is the way it really is. And so it's funny when you go back to the TV movie and remember he actually has a body. He's not just a
He's got legs.
yeah, he's not just an incorporeal voice out there in the ether.
And it's interesting how Big Finish characterised the Eighth Doctor, because I'd say that McGann in most media is amnesia, and I'm not saying that Big Finish aren't guilty of giving McGann amnesia, but
Yeah, it certainly happens from time to time.
I feel like they've really crafted his Doctor more. That there's eras to McGann now.
Yeah.
You've got the Charlie stuff with the Divergent stuff, then you've got the fun-loving sort of Lucy stuff, then Dark Eyes, and sort of that gradual spiral towards the Time War.
Hmm. There. And then you've also just really always got that hopeless romantic angle, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, which I think works really well for him. And it's
that
just
sort of
wonderful listening to Big Finish and hearing McGann having a good time with it.
that sort of
Right.
thirst for life and
Yeah.
wonder.
He's got a very good voice for audio as
Yeah,
well. But
I guess that's one blessing. He was given
mm,
a good voice.
yeah. I mean, given a great face as well, and
Mm.
not one that doesn't age, it seems.
No,
Or if any,
Fountain of Youth.
yeah, very much. He's a fine wine, isn't he? He just seems to improve with age. But you were
Yeah, he
saying before this, he
does.
looks better almost now than he did back then, really.
Yeah, I don't think the wig, like if you look at the wig in the TV movie, then you look at the promo, how different the wig is, and how much better he looks in the promo than he does in the actual story.
Hmm.
It's mental, and then you get like crispy lettuce McGann in like Dark Eyes, almost like, oh, this is some good looking McGann.
Hmm. Yeah, it's great they've really been able to use their own pictures now, Big Finish, with the
Mm.
Eighth Doctor, rather than just repurposing TV movie promos endlessly. Although now they can't even do that because
No,
it's sort of like not quite a rights issue as such, but it's better for them not to risk it rights wise, just in case Disney tries to clamp down, which is fair enough. And so yeah, when they do go back to like TV movie era, they have to do composites and stuff and try to be a bit more creative with it, which has some varied results.
yes,
But yes, anyway, TV movie, we love a tangent here, don't we?
we do.
It's a McGann tangent, and I mean, we've got a little bit more time to talk about McGann next tomorrow with
Mm.
Night of the Doctor. But I think this is our main meat and veg for McGann, isn't it? Because this is all he really got on TV.
Mm.
Uh,
I really like
uh,
the Eighth Doctor.
hmm, I do as well. And I think so. It's great having Big Finish because it feels like just the TV movie alone isn't enough to judge him off as the Doctor. He's brilliant in it, but I feel like you need just more time to have that even footing, and Big Finish has given him that.
See,
Yeah.
it's that nice sort of slice at the end where you're like, oh, I want more of him,
Hmm.
and we've got so much more now. You know, you can go straight to Mary's story, and then you can go Storm Warning, do all your Charlie stuff, and be all good.
Yeah, right up until the recent Eighth Doctor Liv and Helen stuff.
Yeah, which is a fun fact for people watching. The first set has dropped today, the day we're recording this.
Yeah.
Lies
Ha-
Inside, is it?
yeah, yeah, that's it. I'm currently halfway through part one of Paradox of the Daleks, so halfway through. Although by the time this is out, you've probably already heard my full thoughts on it on some Big
Yeah,
Finish fans or something.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's just a little fun tidbit there for those who are sort of interested in the behind the scenes journey of this series as we journey from back in June now up until probably we'll finish this sometime in December, I think. But yeah, fingers crossed it all works out and all of these come out on time.
Yeah.
But yeah, another actor who was given another chance on Big Finish in their role, Eric Roberts as the Master, which was like a huge surprise when he came to Big Finish. But yeah, it's something I've grown to appreciate even more.
It's a bit of a
take on
rough
the
ride,
Master.
I'd say.
Which I don't know. I was enjoying it. I enjoyed the campness of it.
I would say Eric Roberts didn't really get into Big Finish until probably Masterful.
Hmm.
I think that's when his
Yeah, I
Master was
agree.
sold on me.
Yeah, I took it more like the TV movie itself.
Oh,
I think. Yeah, I'd agree that it's a bit of a rough ride. Maybe it's not even just Big Finish. Maybe it's just him working on audio.
mm.
But yeah, I feel like the TV movie, the way it's done here, I really enjoy Eric Roberts' performance.
Oh, I don't like him.
Oh, really? Not at all.
I there's just something that just doesn't click within. I think
Ah.
there's it's wrong to say there's too much camp,
Hmm.
but there's no menace. I think he's trying to be Arnie with like the Terminator look, and I'm like
Yeah,
that can only go
that's
so
definitely an
far.
influence. Hmm. There are certainly some weird times where they're making him less, well, not less human because obviously he isn't, but less understanding of humans. Like there's that moment where Chang Li's just like, "You kill me," and his response is, "You want me to kill you?" Like that feels a bit too alien for the Master
Mm.
in a way, because I think he's someone who would understand that more, or certainly would just be more dismissive of it anyway.
Because that's what I don't get. Like, how do you go from that moment to I always dress for the occasion? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I do feel like there is a bit of inconsistency there.
There is a massive like character change and motive. I don't know.
Hmm. I suppose maybe it's just the way the scenes were filmed around. But you have those interesting moments where it's like the TARDIS really likes you, things like that, don't you?
It's like what?
It's all a bit over the place, but I'm loving it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
like
here
I say,
for it.
it's something to just sit down and switch your brain off with and enjoy. Because plot-wise, it's a very simple plot, really, isn't it?
Mm.
Messy, but it's built around a bit of fun action, and yeah, and then time gets reversed, which is a bit of a weird one because Doctor Who doesn't really usually play around with time that much, does it? For a
No,
show
for
about
sure.
time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the cloister room set. How that's almost like this church or cathedral, but through the windows is presumably the time vortex.
Mm. I do love. I appreciate the set design for this for sure.
Mm.
But I will say, fire hazard with all those candles and the TARDIS console room and stuff. Like, crikey.
Yeah, I'm not as sold on the console room to be honest.
I
But
I really like it actually.
I like the console area itself, like that little nook inside the like the pillars and stuff. I think that bit works quite well. I think the rest is a bit too open. I like a bit. It feels
I-
weird that the console isn't the centerpiece of it. It just feels like a little area.
I mean, I like the homely nature, but it feels lived in. What you don't
Mm.
get with other TARDIS sets until Capaldi.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think Capaldi does it better, personally.
Yeah. I think maybe more is less with the TARDIS.
Mm.
I think this one goes a bit too big. Maybe they could have had parts of it separated off into other sets or something. But yeah, I think maybe just more. You just need to be able to have this round room or something, don't you? Really, with the console in the center.
I guess their thought process is this is an infinite space. We've got the actual budget to show that on screen. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and I appreciate the idea behind that. Yeah, I'm just not sure about the execution. Uh, It's interesting where like the scanner works or whatever it is at the end, where it's the entire roof of the console room
I
is
love that.
suddenly
I think that's
opened
great.
up. I think that's very nice.
Very
Uh,
beautiful.
mm, yeah. And I think that's one of McGann's performance is this joy at the beauty of the universe. I
Hmm.
think is when it's at its best, really. Like the scene of him talking about the sky, meteor, storm, dancing with colors. That's very strong stuff. And I think it's an infectious energy, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, just that joy of it. But yeah, overall, I think it's just a good bit of fun, really. It's a story I haven't touched in a long while either.
Mhm.
And I think while you, because of the time away from it, were excited to get back to it, I was sort of even more trepidatious towards it, really. Like, I didn't remember enjoying it that much the last time. It's just this weird bit of Doctor Who history that I tend to avoid, really.
Yeah.
If I want my McGann, I've got so much Big Finish to go for. So this just sort of gets left behind. But actually, I think if you don't have your fan brain screwed too tight on when it comes to things like Half Human and such, and if you just go on a bit of a fun journey with it, it's a good time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what would you rate it?
I I'm gonna go 8 out of 10.
Ah, you're sticking with an 8 again.
I'm sticking with an 8. I think there are flaws and you can see where this doesn't appeal for like a new audience. Like I wouldn't say this is a good jumping on point.
You can tell why it failed, can't you? It's going too lore dumpy. I mean, having the regeneration happen in it was a bold choice. Not just that. Especially when, because you've then got to make it a post-regeneration story.
It's trying to do all the mechanics of what makes Doctor Who in the space of like 80 minutes.
It doesn't, yeah. The Master, as well, is an interesting choice to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird not having a single alien in it.
Yeah.
Like, McGann has never met an alien on screen. Or, well, an alien figure other than the Master. Like a non-human and non-Time Lord.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think about. Or, well, and non... An actor in a suit, I think, is the way to go for it. Because, yeah, the Sister of Khan isn't Time Lord or Earthling either, but it's still... They're human-looking, human passing, aren't they?
I think McCoy doesn't feel very McCoy. Doesn't feel very Seventh Doctor.
I suppose he's sort of... It's meant to be him more towards the end of his life, isn't it? So it's showing that time has passed and he's more mellowed or something.
I mean, I like the idea that the grand chess player couldn't predict getting gunned down. I like that. But he's slipping in his old age.
Yeah. I suppose maybe Big Finish will come in there and explain that he realised he had to die at this point or something. But
yeah, there's probably some reason.
yeah, it certainly does feel a bit anticlimactic as a regeneration.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the nature of it's not there to be a McCoy send-off. It's there to be a McGann introduction. And I mean, of the two, I think if you're going to do, you need it to be a McGann introduction, really.
Yeah.
If you're going to launch it. But yeah, certainly they got it right the next time around when it came to rebooting the show with jumping straight in there with a new Doctor
Scream of
who's
the
already
Shulker?
fully formed. Yeah, of course. That's what I'm going for here. I mean, yeah, certainly this wasn't the last failed attempt to reboot Doctor Who, was it?
No,
Because you do have that as well before it then came back properly in 2005.
What's your rating for TV movie?
Ah, yeah, we haven't said that.
No, go
7. I'm going 7
Ah,
again
okay,
this time.
that's
So
yeah, okay.
we're still keeping fairly positive for
Yeah.
these. But yeah, I think there's certainly much better stuff to come.
Mm.
But yes, anyway, tomorrow we'll be dipping our toes back into Big Finish with Light the Flame from the War Doctor Begins first box set. Well, that'll be following the Night of the Doctor, McGann's Farewell. Doing
Mm.
like a little double bill there, aren't we? Because they're both quite quick to get through. It's a 1 hour Big Finish story and a
6 minute.
minute minisode. So
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about, I think, with the Minnesota about like where were you when McGann come back? I
yeah,
think.
that's it. It's more of an event, isn't it,
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
anything else. Uh, and what a time to be alive that was. You can hear all about that
All right.
tomorrow. Yeah, for day 14. Yeah, 11 days to go. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.